This is the only video you'll ever need to know how to get over an ex and get out of the breakup process. Breakups and getting over your ex is really hard and emotional, and if you're already tuning into this video, you already get a sense of that. You may be somewhere in the breakup process. I personally believe that if you're still not over your ex, you're still within that breakup process, and that we're going to, in this video, explore a lot of key areas of pretty much explore the whole process on how to get over your ex. And it's going to be a long video, and I'm just giving you the heads up, but I really want to say that every part of this video is going to be very detail oriented and really give you key ideas that you haven't really maybe thought of before, and different ways to approach where you are now as far as getting over her. We're going to go into understanding key ideas going forward with your breakup process or getting over your ex, things that you should just know, accepting the reality of where you are now, where this place you are is, and what that means to you, and how you can ultimately get out of it. Because if it's a negative experience, if it's a negative energy, it's not good. And we're going to take a look at the different areas of how this really plays a role in your day-to-day life. We're going to assess the damage. We're going to assess, what parts of your life have really been impacted by this breakup or by your ex, and the kind of role she's really playing in your life. And we're going to create healthier thoughts to kind of counteract that and bring you back into the elements of your life that you do best. And ultimately, we're going to go a little bit into personal growth and how that plays a role into getting and steering away from your ex, and kind of building on yourself and starting to transition to having her out of your life, along with getting back out there, finally taking that next step and final step of being okay to really explore and to give your energy out there, and put yourself out there, to kind of really once and for all severing that tie with her emotionally and getting back out there. So that's really the table of contents for this, and I believe that you should stay tuned to every part of this video, because like I said, this video is really going to be the end all for whatever you need to look at. Like, if you ever need to go back and look at a video, this would be it, because there's going to be a lot of content that I'll be going over. Like I said, there's some key concepts that you're going to have to take away when you are trying to move forward, and I really emphasize these ideas because they really do mean a lot. And believe me, I wouldn't be saying these things if I didn't believe you should carry them with you as you forgo this process of getting over your ex. First thing that I want to talk about is you're both at fault. So you got to be totally honest with yourself and really say that it takes two to tango, it takes two to dance. And because you both broke up, whether she broke up with you or you broke up with her, something happened. There was a disconnect, and that's nobody's fault, because it takes two to create the one relationship that you had. Had you created two separate relationships, which wouldn't make sense, then that's something else. Everybody experiences breakups, and it's totally normal. And you have to remember that everybody deals with these things at some point in their life. So to make yourself feel less alone, understand that you can kind of go to other people, or have the idea that other people experience breakups, and that everybody has somebody that they want to get over, whether it comes easier to them or not. The idea that everybody has an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, everybody has somebody that used to be in their life in a meaningful way, like your ex or ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend has. So it's important to kind of understand the idea that you've had somebody, everybody's had somebody, and that kind of creates the opportunity to talk to other people about what you're going through. A huge takeaway about exes and breakups in general is that it's a huge takeaway for growth. And there's something that you can really build yourself and identify with and recognize with your ex, and what your ex meant to you, and discovering yourself in the process. And you can really nurture a lot of information to learn from your ex and from the relationship that you had with him or her. And it's really important to kind of see at this point going forward what you can start to learn and dissect from your relationship and her, not to overanalyze it to get her back or to talk to her again, but to see what went wrong or what went right, and see both those elements, see both those parts, and to just ultimately grow and to self-identify and self-actualize what actually happened. So when you're with somebody new, you can communicate better, maybe you can create intimacy. It really depends on, what you've learned from that process of going backwards. But the idea that I'm trying to emphasize is that, relationships and exes they're an area for growth. Another element to breakups and exes is that you have to remember, at the end of the day, everybody has their own journey. We're only with somebody for a duration of time. We don't know necessarily how long that's going to be. And we're with these people, for, let's just say, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 50 years. And then sometimes we just grow out of, the person that we're with, or our journey just entails being somebody different, in that, you can only grow as much as you can together, as much as you can separately growing yourself. And even though you're with somebody, you do have your own journey that you're walking. It's not directly the same path, right? Because you're two different people. I would just recommend remembering that going forward. Everybody has their own life journey, and that you're really here for yourself. You're here to share experiences with others. But at the end of the day, you really want to make sure that you remember that you're on two different journeys, and that you either grow with each other, or sometimes you grow away from each other, and sometimes that happens. And everybody has their own way of progress and connecting with others, and it may have not have been your time with this person in the moment, and you may connect later. But for the majority of times, if it's an ex and you're in this process, odds are your journeys have just not aligned anymore, and that you're just going in different routes, and that's totally okay. And you should be happy that your route is taking a new direction, or the direction that it's supposed to be taking. The next thing you're going to have to remember is that there's going to be a lot of tendencies that you have to reach out to her, or maybe look at her stuff on social media, or text her. It's so important that you realize that there's going to be things and thought processes, actions and thought process that you have to keep the communication going, to create that comfort and maybe potential, that fake potential, that fallacy you're telling in your head that there's still something there. I would recommend blocking her on your phone until, maybe 3 or 4 months from now, or just forever. I would recommend blocking her on social media. You don't need to see her. Unless you know how to effectively get out of breakups, understand how to forego your own process of healing, and where you can kind of see that kind of information. But you really need to remember that there are going to be, temptations to kind of fall back and revert into the ways that you kind of process. Part of this is just communication and cutting off ties with her, and stop talking to her, and stop messaging her, and letting her know that this is over, and that you're going to have to handle this accordingly. Now you have to remember, some parts of the process of breaking up with your ex, it might entail closure. It might entail certain things that you really want to think about. And I think it's important to note that, I do not believe that you should just totally take your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend out of your life. I don't believe that's a healthy way of going about it. I believe that it's a slow process, and that eventually you want to stop and cut off ties. But as long as you can both mutually agree how to work out and synthesize the situation, aside from breaking up, you have to see it in this kind of way. As far as breaking up or an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend is concerned, you've been in this steady, committed relationship at this point, and then out of nowhere you just dropped off, right? Or you both dropped off. The relationship is over. You go from having somebody in your life and taking up a space of your time, to not having that, just having a huge hole in your earth of just that's missing. And she packed up, or he packed up and left, and that space she has in your life is just totally void now. It's an empty void. So you have to fill that gap up with either a friendship with her, and kind of go along a process of healing with each other, and then separating. And I'll talk about that in another video. I am a dating and relationship coach, and for the process that I'm about to unravel to you, if you feel that you just want to work with somebody personally and professionally, and really help you develop your own strategy and skills to moving past your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, and you kind of want to get back there in the dating world, that's in part what I help men mostly do. I mostly work with men, but also women. If you want to inquire about my services, there's going to be a link somewhere down below, and you'll be able to get an idea of what that looks like. and just get an idea of like the general direction of where you want to go. And expecting the reality, and part of expecting the reality when it comes to an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, it's really understanding where you are right now. So, and part of that, what that really means is, are you really emotionally expressing? Are you getting out the trauma that you currently have? Whether it's something significant or it's something that you feel like you're not really attached to, talking out the process, whether you're not emotional or you are an emotional person, it's really important to really talk about what's going on with you and the situation that you're with, and that you also have to remember that you're going to want to talk to people that are balanced and someone you can go to with these situations, whether you're talking to somebody who is anonymous or a close friend or a family member or relative. It's important that whoever you talk to can kind of understand, and they're going to listen and be there for you, because that's the purpose of the conversation, not to have them back and forth, but to really kind of get an idea of where you're coming from and to help you and listen to you, support the process that you're going through. Like I said originally, having a professional is great, because we're kind of trained to actively listen and create a strategy for you and really help you along your own individual road and get you from point A to point B, getting over your ex and getting it back out there and getting you motivated to pursue life in the way that you have always been doing. It's just that you have the speed bump of getting over somebody that's holding you back and limiting you in certain and specific ways. Now, coming to the reality of this situation is not only expressing what you're going through, but really understanding how you actually are as a person right now, how you've changed. In every relationship, you actually gain more of yourself in a certain way. So part of the process of, understanding the reality of where you are in this process, in accordance to your ex, is really getting an idea of who you are, getting an idea of how you are, how you affect people, how you are with yourself, and the different levels of health, with how you kind of operate life now. And it's also as important, you have to make sure that you're staying away from negative experiences and people that don't elicit good proactive actions with your day-to-day life. You need to have positive influence in your life. You need to have people that are motivating you and helping you step out of this place of really getting hung up on your ex. And you need friends that they're not going to tell you, that it's just you complaining about your ex again. You need people who are actually there going to support you, regardless of how whiny and uncomfortable you are. You're going to need a place to be vulnerable and to really explore this with people and yourself. Part of this may be writing it down in a journal. Part of it may be expressing it and talking to others. But a majority of it has to do with being vulnerable with yourself and really kind of coming to terms with how you're being with your ex and what's really holding you back. That's part of the process, is maybe writing down how you really feel and what you wish and why you wish those certain things. So there's different elements to vulnerability and kind of communicating outside of yourself and getting that information and synthesizing what's going on, whether or not you do it with yourself or with others. One good example of how you can kind of get the reality is understand and maybe write down all the different characteristics you have of you and your ex when you were together. Write kind of how she was, during the relationship in the beginning, and kind of write down how she was or how he was during the end. And now write, the characteristics you had during that relationship, and now write the characteristics you have now, in the present moment, and kind of notice the differences in the journey that you've kind of come along. Part of this, it's a process of understanding the journey that you've traveled and kind of matching yourself up to where you are now with yourself and who you are now as a result, and if that's truly you or not. So part of it is also unraveling the kind of normalcies and standard actions and frames that you've created for yourself because of the relationship, and really maybe coming into terms with a more authentic and real version of yourself. Assessing the damage kind of goes along with the idea that you were in a relationship and you may or may not have some ideas or inferences of how this really affected the whole picture of your life. Like, you have to remember that having an ex is kind of like having an ex leave your life is kind of like having a really big portion of who you shared your time with gone. And so you have to compensate for that time that you have now, that you have this huge amount of time that you used to spend with somebody, and now you have to kind of figure out what to do with that time, and what that time you've already been using with that person, and how it affected all the different areas of your life. Part of the different elements of your life are, having fun and enjoying life, who you became as a result of this growth, your personal frame, your spiritual growth, your personal growth. How have you been growing with your relationship, or has that been neglected? Have you been seeing your family? Are you spending time with your family now as when you did when you were with your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend? Is your career or purpose or profession lacking? Do you feel like you have less of a drive than you did when you were in a relationship, and now you're kind of like, oh shoot, well I have to get back on track? Your personal health or your wellness is affected, where you used to go to the gym a lot, and now when you're in a relationship, you kind of neglected some of these elements of your life, and now you're like, shoot, well now I have to get back on top. So you have personal frame, career, relationships, with your friends, maybe you neglected friends, family, your fun and enjoyment and your spiritual well-being, maybe your finances. And you have to take a look at all these areas. Now I'm going to provide for you in the link down below something called a wheel of life. And I want you to fill this out yourself and really kind of understand where you are on all these different aspects of your life, and kind of make that more visual for you to understand that, and kind of relate it to your ex and say, wow, like I took away a lot just for the relationship, or maybe not, and lacked in these areas. So I'm going to provide that in the description below. I encourage you to fill that out. Part of assessing the damage is really kind of seeing where the damage is, where there's areas to grow and improve in these different areas, and then create strategies to start building back up. And the best part of assessing the damage is, and what I'm talking about with all these different areas of life pretty much, is that once you start to dive back into them in a very proactive way, you're not only going to create, utilize that time that your ex had on you, and you're going to take that time that you used with her into these different areas. And not only are you going to do that, but you're going to notice that as you're kind of intervening within all these different areas, you're growing. It's a proactive thing. These are all different elements of your life. And that if you actually put aside your laziness and your lethargy, and you actually approach all these different areas and start building on these different parts of your life, you're going to notice that you're going to start forgetting about this person, and that you're going to be growing so much within these experiences of having fun and with your friends, and kind of working out, or taking care of your health, or your spiritual growth and your personal development. All these different areas, like your career and purpose, they're all going to manifest a new you, and that new you isn't going to have your ex in it anymore. You're going to shift to a place where, you have energy, and you have energy to give others, and you're experiencing more, and you're creating more memories that are taking place of your ex. And that going forward, if you work on all these different areas, you're actually going to naturally forget about her. You may have lingering thoughts about her, that's totally fine, and you always will. But the idea and the way you think about your ex will change over time as you grow into a more proactive and positive person. We're going to sidestep for a moment and focus on an area of understanding your thought process with your ex. Now, a lot of the reason people still linger with the thoughts and the feelings and the negative feelings you have with your ex is because you have situations that happen. You have automatic thoughts that happen right after the situation. And then you have the emotion, you have the feeling, you have something, you are affected by this action, this experience you've had, the situation. And what you really need to do, and what people tend to usually never do, is you have this experience, you have a situation, you have automatic thoughts about it. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say you saw your ex, down the road, and you walk by her, right? Crazy example. I don't know why you would even be close to where she usually goes. But let's just say you saw her somewhere, you saw her in a coffee shop, talking to her girlfriend, or maybe you saw your boyfriend or your ex-boyfriend talking to some girl in a coffee shop, and you're walking by and you're like, crap, this just ruined my day. You have to look at the experience and what it has showed you. So you had the experience of seeing your ex. You might have thoughts of like, wow, like I really wish we were hanging out. and I feel lonely as the emotion. There's like loneliness to it. So you have the situation of seeing him or her, then you feel wow, like then you think automatically, man, like I this makes me really sad. I wish I could be with this person, right? That's the thought, right? And then you have that sadness, that loneliness. But what a lot of people tend to forget is that you need to have a counteracting, proactive thought to it, or else you're just gonna like dive deeper and deeper into that feeling. So what you need to do is create an alternative thought to that. So in this situation, if you saw your ex and you feel lonely because of the thought you just had, you're going to have to create an alternative thought. Now, an alternative thought in this situation could be, well, you know what? I can hang out with other guys or girls, and I can get back out there and date. Or I can go hang out with my friends and have a killer time. Or I can go kayaking because I love to kayak, and that's what I like to do by myself because I love myself. Part of this is kind of coming back in the terms of loving yourself and giving you the respect and appreciation you have. But for this idea, you have to have a process to, overcoming your thoughts. And how you do that is anytime you have a situation, you might not even have a situation. You may even find yourself on Facebook or Instagram and you see a picture. Now, God forbid you didn't take my advice and you didn't block her on social media and your phone. You have to remember that any situation that comes up henceforth, you have to have the alternative thought to replace the old thought, to invoke new feelings and emotions. So if you experience something negative and you see her on Facebook, or you feel lonely, maybe you just jump to the punch of loneliness and you're like, wow, I'm really lonely. You have to have something that's proactively going to be in place to help you do that, and change it and modify your thoughts to something that's going to be helpful for you, and go, you know what, I'm lonely now because I just don't know what to do. It's not because I want her and I miss her or I miss him. It's that I'm not doing anything and I feel like a loser right now or something. I don't know, but the idea is that create alternative thoughts, alternative proactive thoughts that start rearranging your emotions to this experience. Now you have to remember this next topic is personal growth, and that this is probably one of the most essential parts to this getting over your ex part, because I know that you may be able to have a really busy life and you may tend to be really preoccupied, but in part of life you have to always invest in yourself and grow, and part of this is personal growth. Now you may ask yourself, how does personal growth contribute and is synonymous to getting over my ex, getting out of the breakup process? Well, the more you grow and the more you kind of self-actualize and understand yourself and how you are in situations, how you are as a person, your characteristics, what you want, what you love, what you need to grow on, what skills you lack, what strengths you have, what you have to offer somebody. These are all really important aspects of your life and your own growth. There's this metaphor that I always use, that you're always growing your own individual tower, and you always want to see this tower going higher and higher and being built up to be this really big, like Empire State Building. And what a lot of people tend to do is they kind of rely investment only in school or academia or their work to teach them stuff. You really want to always explore and always dive into yourself and become more aware of what's holding you back and be more aware of your roadblocks, to really take yourself from where you are and to always kind of keep the ball rolling. You don't want to become stagnant, because you're always either you're either kind of growing backwards or forwards, if that makes sense. You're always growing. You're always somehow growing and being aware of how you are, being responsible and having accountability over your own actions, or you're going backwards. And part of how this ties into your ex is there's a lot to discover and reflect on when it comes to the experiences you've had with her. A lot in which you can grow from and understand. So part of this is personal growth. Life isn't really meant to be the same kind of person and do things the same kind of way. It's really to evolve, it's to grow, it's to experience new things, it's to learn, it's to build your value and do things that motivate you. And this is all what I mean about personal growth. So in part, the more you do all these things, the more you dive into yourself, the less you're going to notice the significance of your ex. And that if you're actively learning and growing on yourself and growing and participating in maybe groups and stuff that help you grow with other people, you're going to start to realize that there's more to life than just hanging on to your ex. In part with growing away from your ex, there's some other key takeaways that I have for you. And in part, it's really understanding your purpose in life. There's this dichotomy that happens in life where it's, You're either pursuing purpose, you're pursuing relationship or women or men, or you're doing both. And if you're doing both, you better darn well have mastered one or the other. If you've been always into purpose and doing something and giving back to the world and being very work oriented, if you have mastered work and you become in a place where you're very financially ready for something long term, then dive into women or men. And likewise the opposite way. If you've always been about relationships and dating, but you haven't given your career a focus, maybe you should switch heads and just really focus and dedicate yourself to growing on your own journey. A lot of people can't manage going back and forth between the two, and it's really important that you kind of get to a certain threshold of mastery in one or the other. If you can master dating and relationships, men and women, and now you're just looking for somebody to share your life with, focus on your career, because somebody's going to pop up eventually if you're on the right route. So I believe that purpose is a really big part of growth and going forward with your own life, and showing that yourself that there's progress in your own life, and that when you look back and you look behind, eventually over time you really forget the experiences negative wise that you had with your ex, and that it really comes to fruition, the reasons why you still linger with your ex and why. And if you tackle all these different areas that I mentioned in this video, you'll have some understanding of why you do like your ex and some proactive ways how to get over her or him. I really hope this video did help you. This is all that I have going on in this video. There's a lot of content, and I can't believe I got through all of it. So thank you for tuning in for this long. Like I said, if you feel like this still isn't going to help you, I believe that you can always reach out to a professional. Always submit something on our website. We have a dating and relationship services page. I'm always here to help you in your part of the process. I would recommend just growing and seeing things a different way. That's really what I have for this video. So if you have anything more to add to this video, comment down below, share your thoughts and what you found to work with getting over your ex long term. This was a pretty good process to follow. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Please, if you like this video, please subscribe and like this video. Please let us know if we're doing something right or wrong, or your thoughts and intentions on the video. Maybe we didn't cover something that you really wanted to see, and maybe I can make a future video about it. We also have a Patreon that we have instated. Patreon is a donation kind of area where if you really like the information that we're giving and you like the cause that we have for our channel and our business, to reach out and to educate people and to change perceptions and to really help people shift into the best version of themselves. There's actually a reward system if you donate to us. So if you check out our Patreon, you'll be able to see more information about that. And there's also a lot of other different content coming out. We have live sessions or live events every Sunday. So if you sign up for our email on our website, you'll be able to get more updates and news on live events and how to participate in them if you want to. We have a Slack chat, which is like an MBTI and typology chat room area that you can explore with other users in real time. It's like AIM but for MBTI, and you can always check that down. Every link down below is there and what I'm talking about. And we have a form site if you're interested in forms. If you're a poster and you like to ask messages, in related content to our channel, you can always go there. And as always, we have Trey and Damon and their services as well. Damon works with clients in a multitude of different areas. Being an MBTI master practitioner, he can type you an MBTI, help you with coaching and consulting with your business, and Trey can help you with purpose coaching and help you really find yourself within the world and what you can do for the world. So we have that going on as well. They're really great at what they do. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.
Is a judgment function, and it's important to understand what judgment is in the terms of typology and what it is not. It is not a perception function. Primarily, their function is concerned with making decisions or coming to closure on information. For example, introverted intuition would look quite different paired with extroverted feeling than it would look paired with